again, and we just got back and we're doing it again. Come on, baby. Hey, fellas.
Right back in the
You know what it is, baby. What's up, everybody? It's the All Day Everyday Show with All Day AJ and the homie Manny Ruffin.
You know what's cracking in this corner, boys?
Oh, baby. Okay. As always, fellas, powered by Dimers. We only have 2 cameras today. We'll be flip-flopping. We'll see what Tyler wants to do with it.
Shout out Tyler.
Shout out Tyler, as always. He's actually grinding his ass off right now on our Auburn vlog, which is, he's got almost 10 hours of footage. So guys, bear with us with that. Let him do his thing. Let him work. That big video is coming. All right. I know we got
Bron be Bron.
Let Bron be Bron. All right. Let the real goat be the real goat. Okay. A little subtle right there. So if you want to support the show, head over to www.dimers.com/ADED. And for this month, we're going to keep promoting the Jersey Sportsbook. Check if it's legal in your state, wherever the hell you may be watching this or listening to this podcast. Caesar Sportsbook is a risk-free bet up to $5,000. You don't have to do $5,000. You can do $20. You can do $40. You can do $100. Whatever that may be. If you sign up with code ALLDAY in all capitals, just ALLDAY, you will get that promotion. And if you lose the bet, you will get that back, and you'll be able to bet that. So if you put $20 on, let's say, the Knicks to win, just because I'm a New York guy, and the Knicks lose, you get a $20 free bet to bet that again. I know it's not, some people don't understand the risk free, where they're just like, oh, I'll be able to get my $20 bet back and I can bet 5, 5, 5, and 5. No, if you bet $20 on a specific bet with the code and you lose, you'll get that back as a free bet to bet again. So just choose wisely with what you're going to pick. Try to get that win, and if not, be even smarter to get that next win. So if you want to support the show, www.dimers.com/ADED. All right, Manny, we got another guest today. Tell me who it is. I'll let him into this right now.
Boys, we are super
Where'd he
excited
go?
for this. I think it just went away.
He just went away? Oh, there he is. There
Boys, we are so excited for this one. We are on board with the man who built the best, and I mean the best, gambling analytics software, Props.Cash, former teacher and critically acclaimed smartest man in this corner of gambling Twitter. Everybody put it together for Pete Smiling. Let's go, baby.
We had to give you a little introduction, all right? We had our informal chat, but now we have to go formal. As you can see, we're maybe speaking a little bit differently. Our voices may sound a little bit more, upbeat, because it's showtime. The lights are on, the mics are on, the headphones are on. You know what it is.
And boy, you look good. Look
it's
at
great
you,
to see
man.
you. Thank you for your time today. We really, really appreciate your time to talk to you. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing well, guys. Really appreciate you having me on. I'm really excited.
Yeah, man, this is super cool for us. I like your little background there.
Yeah.
We're able to, we saw your tweet today, so we want to thank you for your tweet with the shout out. We got a couple new followers today, so we wanted to do that. But let's just start. Just why don't you give us a little bit background on yourself? I know we're gonna get to the software and everything like that, but just try to keep this one a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm gonna give it to you the frame through props, because that's been my life recently. So yeah, my background is in math and stats. I'm up here in Canada, went to school for math and stats, graduated, and I've been making my way in like the math and stats programming, sports community, kind of all sorts of stuff over the past few years. And it's all kind of culminated to Props.Cash at this point. So I'm excited to get into the story of Props.Cash, kind of the origin story, because it's a reflection of myself at this point.
Yeah, so why don't we just jump right into it? So what this freaking software is just genius. I mean, you could use this if you want to gamble. You could use this if you want to use fantasy sports. You could use it if you want to just argue with your boys at the lunch table. You want to know why Keldon Johnson's been sucking so far this year. That's not really true, but I digress. So what made you create Props.Cash? What was the idea behind it? Was there did you want to let go of certain things? Did you want to do kind of what you love? What's the whole story behind Props.Cash, and why did you build it?
Yeah, so let me take a couple minutes and just
do your thing.
It's not a linear path. It's a bit of a weird path how I got here. So like I said, I went to school for math and stats. When I graduated, I wanted to be an elementary school math teacher. I wanted to teach grade 6, grade 7 math. But when I graduated at the time, I couldn't get a job as a teacher. There was too many teachers in the area where I am. And so I ended up working for the local newspaper, doing some data visualization. And I taught myself code over this time. I had a bit of a background because going to school for math, but I was able to teach myself working at the newspaper. And I started with this program very early on called D3. And the nerds in the audience will have heard of D3. It's just this very, very powerful data viz software that's now been around for about 10 years. And I was very early to adopt it. And so I've kind of become a pro at data viz over this time. But anyways, I worked for the newspaper for about a year and a half. And then I joined a startup. And that's kind of, these years were kind of like my Kanye 5 beats a day years, learning like the proper software practices. And so, yeah, for about 3 years, I was hustling with this startup. And we ended up getting acquired by this company, Instacart, which a lot of people have heard of. Worked for Instacart for about a year and a half with some really, really top level engineers through San Francisco and through Toronto. And it really honed my skills in the software department. So actually, just going back a little bit, I actually tried to build the same software in 2014. And I called it Big Propa at the time. So shout out, I know there's a Twitter name called Big Propa out there.
That's fire.
But I didn't have the chops. I didn't have the software chops to do it then. So anyways, I left Instacart after about a year and a half. I wasn't into the whole corporate thing. Worked for a small startup here in Hamilton. They ended up getting acquired by a much larger company. I dipped on that because I'm just not a huge corporate guy. And I tried to build this piece of software last year for kids getting back into education, which was teaching them math, but was using NBA data real time. Like they could use last night's games, their favorite team, their favorite players. So teachers could construct kind of math problems and curriculum based on NBA data. So I ended up building this last year and testing it with about 25 teachers across North America. It was awesome. They all loved it. But when I asked them if they were willing to pay for it, it became a little bit murky. And so I would have had to go to school boards and kind of pitch the idea. And that wasn't too inviting to me as like a creative type. So I'd been playing props for about 10 years and I had all these graphs, I had all this code. And I was like, well, maybe if I just change the lens on the program a little bit, instead of teaching kids math, maybe I could make this tool to teach prop bettors, and myself mainly at the time, to use math a little bit more in deciding their prop bets. So I kind of changed some of the code around. It wasn't for kids anymore. It was for a gambling audience.
Yeah, so your audience changed dramatically, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like hesitant to tell a story because it's a complete 180, but it's literally the same piece of software with the new lens on it. And I put it up on the internet and people just started signing up for it. And from there, it's been kind of crazy. I've been able to hire a bunch of people. We have a team now. We've had incredible growth over the past, it's been about 8 months now. So it's kind of blown me out of the water. I never really considered myself an entrepreneur. But last year I built this product that completely failed from a business sense. And so I had to just pull up my socks and find a way to get this project off the ground. And it was through prop betting. And yeah, I mean, it's been a ride, I'll tell you guys, but it's been a lot of fun. And now props consume my life.
Yeah. I mean, would you consider yourself now a entrepreneur after everything that has gone on?
For sure. Yeah. I'm having to figure out stuff the hard way. My background is on like the technical side, creative side. And so I've had to really pull up my socks on the business side. Thankfully, I have the support of a few people that I work with that are helping me on the business side, because I wouldn't be able to do it without them. So huge shout outs to the people that I'm working with.
I feel like you almost get the harder part of this whole software out of the way because you're more on the technical side, right? Because I feel like the business side, selling it, the marketing, all like the ins and out of actually being on the business side, I think, or maybe this is me being naive, but I think that's more of the side that can be handled through other people. And I think the harder side is the engineering side. How can this software, how can we make this where we have everything in one place so you don't have to have 5 to 10 different tabs open just to find what somebody did in their last 5 or 10 games?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's kind of like an information architecture with the program, and it's all kind of converging to just making things simple. We're hesitant to put too much on a page or too much in a given section, because I don't think we're very cognizant of not putting too much information. Like any feature we add that a customer requests, we weigh it on how it'll help that customer, but it can also hurt other people that use the software by making it convoluted and kind of over engineered. So there's definitely a maturity there that comes with scaling back and making it as simple as possible. I think this is where my educational background comes in really handy. Teaching kind of grade 6, you have to make things simple for grade 6s. I'm not saying people that use it are at a grade 6 level, but it's certainly, we're not teaching calculus. We are teaching like a grade 9, grade 10 level math for people. So I think it appeals to a greater subset of the gambling community.
No, absolutely, because it's so helpful, because I don't have to spend so much time on an app or a player. I can just click through, boom. All right, I can see his minutes, his shots attempt, all this. It's just crazy talking to you. Your story is amazing. So my thing I'm most interested in is, how was like the public perception, or like your family's perception, around the idea of you saying, screw teaching, I'm not really corporate, I kind of want to do my own thing, I'm a genius, I mean, I'm a good looking dude, I can do whatever I want. Was there any backlash there? Was there any kind of like mental kind of hardships you went through with it, dealing with that backlash? Like, kind of give us a story about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting question. I think the backlash was internal in a lot of ways for myself. In Canada, we're a bit behind New Jersey, Illinois in terms of gambling. There's still a bit of a stigma up here with gambling that I don't see existing on gambling Twitter in like the New Jersey subset or the Illinois subset. And so transitioning from teaching or software to the gambling space in Canada, I think has a little bit of a different connotation. It's going to change. Things have been like there's been new legislation in Canada that's bringing sports gambling more to the forefront. So that taboo is going to change. However, we're behind, in my opinion, compared to the major spots in the United States. So there was a bit of an internal struggle that I had with not telling other people at first, because I was like, oh, I wonder how people will perceive this. It's such a 180 from teaching kids. So, but you know what? It's funny. Once people started signing up for the product and I started gaining some traction, I had like no problem telling people. I was so pumped that someone was interested in using this product. And at that point, when I felt like I was onto something, I became excited. I told my family was pumped. My friends were pumped. Like, you know, I have 2 brothers. They're huge into sports, even more than I am. So they're so hyped. Like, being able to carve out a bit of a career in sports with the tech background is like,
that's got to be. I mean, you have to take that as an accomplishment in itself. I mean, you have a tech background, and then you have created this into a sports, putting yourself into a sports industry. So I think, big ups from me personally, because I went into broadcasting in school, and obviously we're doing this, but I always wanted to be in some sports field. I didn't even start out in broadcasting. I started out in a different major. I was in hospitality. And I came and started doing this 2 years into school for my last 2 years of school. And obviously so far it's been working out. But when you say something like that, I'm like, damn, I was there, in my sophomore year of college, like, I want to get into sports, but I don't know where I go. And for you, you're like, I had a tech background. I worked in this field, and I was able to kind of shift out and use what I learned from everything, the whole tech background, to make this entire software. So obviously a big ups from me, because that's just so cool to hear about, that somebody that didn't really ever think of having a quote unquote, or, sports background on their resume. Now you can say, well, look, I made this software that was not really designed for this, but like you said, and I love that analogy there, you just switch the lens on it, and then you switch it to something, and it works out perfectly for this gambling community and everything that goes on with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel those vibes. I'm like super pumped to be working on sports data every day, man. Waking up and working with developers and ingesting sports data and thinking of new ways to present data that helps a prop better is literally a dream come true for a creative person like myself that, is immersed in tech and math. This is like the perfect culmination of my skill set. And so it feels so right. And I think that's why the product reflects that vibe, in my opinion. We are working extremely hard on it. We are passionate about it. I'll be working with developers at 1 a.m. in the morning some nights because we'll have just a light bulb will turn on, and we'll have an idea and we'll want to implement it. It's pretty amazing. Like the sports atmosphere is so energetic. Being in grocery doesn't have that same energy as the sports community. Yeah, it's so hype, and yeah, man, I'm fired up.
So take us through like a day take us through like a general Pete day. Like, do you wake up and it's just Props.Cash? Like, do you still degenerate gamble a little bit? How do you do in that? Like, because people probably wonder, like, this guy built the software. He has to be killing the books. Do you kill the books?
Yeah.
Like, kind of give us like a kind of walkthrough of your regular day, and do you still gamble, and how do you do?
Yeah. Well, from the gambling side, I do gamble. I'm a small time gambler. I don't gamble to make a living, but I gamble like I see it as a logic puzzle. I love the research. Obviously, that's why I built it. And I've been playing props for about a decade. Here in Canada, we have what's called Pro Line. It's not that great, but it's forced you to play parlays. So I've been playing parlays for the last 10 years. So I understand the appetite for them. Yeah, I'm not like Bo Wagner where I'm betting $5,000 on or Cap. These guys are betting huge amounts. Respect, I love that, but that's not me. I'm much more small stakes. The research and the logic puzzle behind it is what whets my appetite for gambling. So yeah, that's kind of where I am. My favorite is NBA. There's just such an output every night. You could have 100 players every night with 8 to 12 prop lines. You have 800 or 1,000 prop lines every night in NBA, and finding those gems is like treasure hunting. It's a pastime. I can get lost in just doing research. So when I was first starting the project, I was spending a lot of time researching. The product's gotten so busy now that I have to pull myself back a little bit from development and work more on the business side. So to answer your question about what a typical day is like for me, I spend a lot of time talking to customers. I think one thing that we have, without giving too many of our secrets away, one of our biggest strengths is our customer feedback loop. We have so many customers asking us for features, telling us what they like and don't like about the product. And we've really finessed that loop. And the customers are essentially building the product at this point. They're telling us what they want, and we're trying to deliver it for them. So from our end, it's more about taking their feedback, because we're getting so much of it now, and organizing it and weighing what is the most important and what is the least amount of effort versus how important it is for them. So a lot of features you see coming out are requested by users, multiple users, and we're just kind of implementing what they're asking for. So we don't even see it as building features anymore. We're solving customer problems, and we're doing everything with a purpose. Yeah. So that's awesome. I didn't really answer what a typical day is. I still am behind the keyboard a lot programming. I love it, but there's much more emphasis on the business side and the customer support side on my end at this point. People, for whatever reason, like talking to the founder.
Yeah.
So
totally. I believe that.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm kind of like the fireball here that is that's the public face. And people can hit us up on Twitter, hit us up on a DM. We have someone handling our social, but you'll catch me sometimes chatting with people. I hop on video calls. There's so many amazing relationships that I've made with people on Twitter. I say Bo, but like guys like Hollywood Jones, people that I've hired now, Wallabets, Sammy Capper. Yeah, these guys are just phenomenal people that I've met all through Twitter. And a lot of these people I've now hopped on like video calls with, and having these relationships face to face, like with you guys right now, I feel like is very, very key in creating that community aspect. Twitter is one thing, but once you get up to that next level of chatting with people in this frame, it's much stronger.
Yeah, I can totally agree with you on that, because we're able to talk to guys like Bo and Kenny and Jerry and Cap and Prop Holiday, and the list goes on. So we've said this so many times before, where we're like, there is people that follow these guys that would die to get on a call and see them face to face and just talk to them, and we have that relationship. So when we first started getting these guys on here and talking to them through this Zoom that we're doing right now, it was like, damn, I'm like still a fan of you. Like, I'm talking to you and asking you these questions, but like, I follow your bets. Like, I followed your bets before I even had you on the show, before I even thought I was going to get you on the show. So that's super cool. I want to bring this a little bit back towards the educational part of the story and what the teachers were saying. So when you brought that to the teachers, was their feedback mainly like, I really like this, I want to implement this? This was like before you said the whole money thing. And I know when we had our little chat before we did this, you had said, you brought it to maybe 20 or 30 or 40 teachers and they liked it, but then you brought up the money. Was there, before you even brought up the money, could you have seen yourself saying, oh, the teachers really like this, why don't I try this out in the classroom first and see how it actually works? Because then that'll give me the feedback to say, all right, well, the software is really good, it works, regardless of changing the lens, it works. Maybe I can start and get a little bit of a background by having these guys be almost like my allies and saying, hey, this works, let's go implement it somewhere else, and say, all right, school boards, let's go. We like it, the other schools like it, let's go down that path. Did you ever think that you were going to keep this down this path, or was it like, all right, it didn't work, I have an idea of changing the lens, let's just do it and run with it this way?
Well, I think you have to be mindful that in the backdrop, COVID was happening.
True.
So
that's also very true.
So teachers were in a different place. They're not in the classroom as much. A lot of them were teaching remotely. So there was just a different environment altogether with respect to giving a teacher a piece of software, or myself stepping into a classroom and working with the teacher with the software. I just couldn't get into the classrooms where we are because they were doing remote teaching. So there was that challenge that affected kind of the delivery of the product. So yeah, that was there. Also something to be mindful of with the teachers paying for it. The product is foundationally different through the lens of teachers than it is through the better. The product for the better is helping them make money. So they can potentially see if it's not helping them make money, which for a lot of people it is, it's helping them become more aware and smarter prop bettors. Teachers are not using the tool to make money. They're using it to kind of facilitate teaching math. So it has a very different value to those two groups. And so, yeah, $20 a month for a teacher, like teachers are asked so much they're asked to pay for classroom, whatever. Like they have to, if they set up their classroom with like design and stuff, wallpaper, a lot of it's coming out of their pocket.
Yeah,
so
totally.
Teachers don't have a budget. They do have a budget, but they don't want to pay out of their pocket over and over. And some teachers have a really rough go at, like, they're not supported by their school boards in the sense that they don't have a budget to pay for stuff that's creative like this. So just a really hard negotiation there with individual teachers. And then the prospect of going to school boards and selling it was such an uphill battle, especially during COVID, that made it challenging. Saying that though, I do plan on circling back to this idea if someone doesn't steal it and working on it again, because it's still a passion project of mine.
That's awesome. I love how like there's a certain theme here, right? Like me and Alex have tried different things and tried different jobs, but for some reason it doesn't hit unless you're doing something you love, which is just crazy. So what I have to ask you is, like, this is a $1 billion software waiting to happen. I mean, only 10% of the nation can gamble. So I can't even imagine how much money you're gonna be making when it's worldwide. Where do you see Props.Cash going? Would you sell it if some big corporations came knocking, or is this like, this is your baby, no one's touching this, get the F away, this is me?
Yeah, I know that's a popular question. I mean, I'm a simple person. I'm trying to frame this problem simply. We're trying to build the best props tool on the market. We think we already have the best props tool on the market, but we are not satisfied with where it currently sits. We want to make it better. And I think if we build the best product on the market, we will have as many options as we want with respect to how we want to work the business. To me, the main problem, or the exciting part, is building the product and building the best possible product. I'm less excited about whether a company wants to buy it. I've been through a few acquisitions now through tech, and sometimes they're not all they're cracked up to be. People that have had ideas and sell their idea, they get a cash payout, but they lose control of what their essential, like their creation was. And for creative types, that can be really challenging. So that's not my focus at all at this point. The focus is building the best possible product. And that's that's kind of the culture at Props.Cash that we instill in people working here.
Yeah, that's great. I know I want to keep this on the future side, and Manny just took it right there. So I'm sure you've probably gotten this question asked before, but in the future, do you see this maybe? I know it's all Props.Cash and props, but do you see this possibly incorporate? And I see you're smiling. I know where you might think I'm going, but do you think you might be going more towards adding the spread side of things? So maybe you can say, well, the last 5 games, the last 10 games, the Washington football team has been whatever that may be against the spread. Do you see possibly adding that? Because, with how the data and the technical side of it works, I'm already thinking of it because you can see, this guy had this many rebounds in his last 5 and his last 10 games. So I could see it working where it could be like, oh, well, the football team was, 4-1 in their last 5 against the spread. Do you see it possibly going in that direction, or are we keeping it all props?
Right now, we're keeping it all props. I think having a focus on props is essential to the core business. I think it gives us focus and definition to the problem. And I think there's something about good software that is simple and to the point, and you can do too much and it be problematic. Maybe we move to a spread at some point. I find personally the spread market's less fun because they're so mature. They've been pretty worked out. I mean, I guess you're looking at Vegas though this year, and they're setting these NBA lines and they are way off. So there's a little bit of weirdness there, but props are still so new. Just as an example, last MLB season, Tone Takes on Twitter. Love Tone Takes. So I just signed with Dimers too.
Let's go, Tone.
He was pushing us to add total bases for MLB. And we ended up adding it. And I mean, this was a fairly new market at the time, fairly immature, and there's just so much value to be had. We're seeing that right now with shots on goal props. It's a fairly new market, an underserved market in hockey. And you're seeing tons of plus lines at just insane hit rates where you don't see that with, say, K props in baseball. These are like mature markets. So I like the aspect of props that we are attacking kind of immature, underserved markets and finding value. The spread markets are not like that. They are so mature and figured out. So yeah, for now, we're staying in props for sure. So.
Hey, that's awesome. I mean, quick question. Do you guys have soccer on there? Because you had a light bulb go off my head with the whole NHL thing. I was like, NHL, we can make some money here in soccer with the shots on goal. Hey now.
Yeah, I mean, these are not natural next steps for us. Looking at soccer props, golf, college sports. There's a lot of room for growth. We can add.
You're getting me excited.
I'm getting a little excited. But hey, so obviously blazing your own path and just saying, I'm going to bet on myself and I'm going to do it my way and I'm going to be damn successful doing it takes a certain kind of person, certain kind of just self-belief and self-confidence. But obviously it's not always perfect. You know what I mean? So there's obviously definitely points where you probably had some doubt and like this season's going as how I thought it was going to be. What would you say to Pete like 10 years ago, 5 years ago, someone that's in your shoes right now that has an idea or they think they have an idea, they want to do something and they kind of like are shaky about it, not as confident. What would you say to that person?
That's a great question. I mean, it's scary leaving your job to pursue your own passion, but I feel as though that moment of leaving your job ups the stakes on what you're trying to do. I'm not advocating for everyone to leave their job and follow their own dream, but if you do have an idea that you believe in, I think that moment of committing to it full time is a huge step in like the spirit of seeing your idea reach a new level. If you're able to commit, 100 hours or whatever it is, like I'm working 100 hours a week right now on this. I don't expect other people to be working on this at this level, but I wouldn't be able to if I was working a full-time job on the side. So I think that moment is a scary moment, but an essential moment. And I don't think I would have realized that 5 years ago. And it's something I realize now. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm smiling ear to ear when you say that, because Manny and I essentially did the same thing. We were, we met at a weird coincidence where it happened, and we kind of talked about doing something like this, and we started throughout just doing it like this. The two of us were on a Zoom screen. I was, doing the podcast from my house, and he was doing the podcast from his house, and over time we grew, we developed, we matured, and now we have 5 lights, 2 of the best microphones in the game, a big banner and everything. So, you just, it's all to the same point of when you believe in it, when you trust it, when you believe in yourself, mostly, the opportunities are endless. So it's great. It's great to hear. We hear so many of those things. We just had Prop Holiday say something like that. Like, if you believe in it, just go with it. So to hear these guys that have big followings are doing their own things and whatever that may be, is so successful and so heartwarming to us to hear those things. So I want to kind of bring this to maybe more of a, I guess I'll say on the technical side, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but for the people out there that gambling Twitter can be, as you may know, gambling Twitter can be a little bit toxic.
Yeah.
And when people put their VIP packages out there of whatever that price may be, you can see that Twitter or Instagram or whatever they want to communicate on can get a little spicy and a little heated in terms of, I don't want to pay this, I don't want to pay that. So I want you to talk a little bit about, why you're valuing a $20 a month, why you're valuing NFL to be $89.99 for the season, NBA to be $99.99 for the season. Talk a little bit about how the value of those, what you're getting out of those values, right? It's $100 for the entire NBA season. It's an 82 game season. For me, that makes sense. If you're betting $5 and you're using this and you're betting correctly, responsibly, you should easily make that back. But there's obviously, you're going to get those people that are out there that are like, oh, I'm not paying $100 for this. This makes no sense. Why would I do that? I'm not spending $199.99 on NBA and NFL. I'm not doing that. So just touch a little bit on where you got the value to make this $99, $89, $20 a month, and why that makes sense.
Yeah, pricing is hard. I don't think there's any way around pricing it. I'm sure people that run their VIPs have a tough time pricing it out. It's a challenge. The higher you price it, the fewer people you're going to have. But in some cases, that may be a better thing. Whereas the lower you price it, you're going to attract a greater subset of people on gambling Twitter. I think for us, we have a tech product that we're trying to scale with as many people as possible. So having a fair price is essential for the scaling of the product. We think $20 is about the average unit size for a user. Maybe it's less, maybe it's more, but about average. We have it at 20, and we think a $20 investment over the course of a month for research, you're basically putting it's an investment in yourself. If you are wagering these unit sizes each night or a few times a week responsibly, it's easily justifiable. So we've kind of landed in that sweet spot. I think we would like to have an offering that is maybe $10 a month, because that might appeal to more people. Maybe something around something along the lines of, you get to pick 3 or 4 of your favorite prop types. Right now, we have about 10 or 12 prop types for every NBA player, but maybe if you only want 3 or 4, you have a reduced rate. We want it to be accessible to people that don't have a huge monthly spend. And, that's hard to do, man. Pricing is hard. What are you guys' thoughts on that? What do you think about the $20 a month?
I thought it was genius because I signed up myself. I got so tired of going on Twitter and seeing these guys, I like X for over 1.5 threes tonight, and they have all this information. I'm like, dude, I'm literally losing money. So when you go to the website and it's like, oh yeah, free trial and $20 a month, done deal. I didn't care at all. I was like, all right, here we go. I feel like it's great value. Everyone's unit is around $10 and $20, $30, the higher end, $50, stuff like that. I feel like it's a perfect price in my opinion.
Right. And I'm happy that you asked us this question too, to kind of spit it back to us. We don't normally get any of that. But my thoughts on it are like, think about the subscription for the people out here that are going to bitch and complain about it. Let's think about the subscriptions that you're paying for on a daily basis. You may have a Netflix subscription. You may have a Hulu subscription, right? There's I could go on and on at the subscriptions that you have that you probably don't even know what you're still paying for. So
and you're
this
getting
one,
zero ROI.
Right. You're getting nothing back from that. So this one, let's think about what you get out of it. Obviously, you're getting everything, the research intent, you're getting all that out of it. But mainly for me, it's the time. So let's say you spend an average night, you spend 1 hour, let's say you get off work at 4 p.m. and you spend from 4:30 to 5:30 doing your research. I guarantee you take at least 30 minutes off that from this, and you get your bets in faster, so your odds don't increase. So then you can win more money. So if I'm going to bet $5 to win $4, I take 30 minutes off. Maybe I'm betting 5 to win $4.50. You never know. So I think it just makes sense in terms of the time that you're taking out of it and everything that you get. I mean, like you said, the total basis thing is super cool. I recently, from using your software, I recently started doing points, rebounds, and assists. And I think that's an underrated prop. I think mostly people might do points and rebounds, or mainly people do just over-unders and rebounds, over and under points. I like doing the whole slate. I've been taking, the very first time I did it, I took Luka Doncic under points, rebounds, and assists. And a lot of people would probably say, why the hell would you take his under on that? You're taking the entire slate of everything he does in one game. You're going to take the under. And it hit because of the research that it shows you on the screen. It shows a bar graph. It couldn't be more easy. It shows a bar graph of greens and reds. So when you see all reds, what are you going to do? You're going to take the under. It just makes sense.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that, because that's the feedback we get from a lot of users. It saves them time. That's the main one. But I think the other thing, and you nailed it, is we're introducing people to new markets that they never would have looked at. For instance, tonight, JD on Twitter, he's looking at a Steph Curry block prop at like plus 260. Who would have been looking at a Steph Curry block prop? And his justification was these rule changes are increasing the block rates of some of these players. They're less scared to attempt a block, especially in the perimeter. So I just love the creativity around people experimenting with new markets, the way that you are experimenting with, say, PRA. And an example of that earlier in the season was Miles Bridges. I was playing some PR, some points and rebounds for Miles Bridges, and he had some games where he had like 7 or 8 assists out of nowhere. Whereas if you would have played the points, rebounds, and assists, it kind of would have averaged out and you would have hit versus playing the points and rebounds. So it's making people think about props in a slightly different way, I think, because these markets are so accessible using the program. So even if you don't win, we are very clear that we don't guarantee winners, but we can guarantee that you will start to think about props differently than you thought about before using the Props.Cash tool. So we hope people take that with them.
No, absolutely. I feel like, and even people who are just smart is like, I'm becoming a smarter, better regardless. Like, even if I lose this, okay, so how'd I lose this? Let me go back to see, okay, he had X amount of shots, X amount of minutes. Okay, maybe I should get a guy who has X amount of minutes more. You know what I mean? So it kind of makes you a smarter, better. Kind of like the final question I had for you is, because I'm so dumb for not asking this. You're Canadian. What are your teams? Who do you root for? Are you like a big hockey guy? Like, give us the whole breakdown. I should have got this as the first question. I was slacking.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm being Canadian, I grew up on hockey, playing that from 5 years old. Baseball and hockey were my 2 big sports growing up. Played high school football.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a diehard Bills fan.
Bills
Mafia. How did that start? How did Bills Mafia start for you?
Wait, so you went through all the heartbreaks in the 90s. Holy shit, man, you're a hell of a man.
Yeah. My old man is a diehard Bills fan. I was born into it. So, we go down to Orchard Park. Now COVID has been a little challenging, but man, going down and table slamming up there.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
Have you jumped through one? Have you jumped through one?
I haven't. I've witnessed them. I know they're like banned now, but
I didn't know that.
There's nothing better than going to the Bills game. I mean, for my brother's bachelor party a couple years back, we went to see them play the Jets. There was an opening game, and they had when Le'Veon Bell was all the hype, and the Bills came back and beat them. And man, going on a Bills road game, especially to see a division game like the Jets, was so hype. Yeah, diehard Bills fan. Big Leafs fan, Raps fan, obviously, and Raps are so hyped this year. Scotty Barnes, man, we couldn't have asked for a better rookie.
Yeah, the Scotty Barnes props is what I'm loving too.
Huge.
He's been hitting them rebounds.
Yeah, exactly.
So
how are you guys? Who are your teams?
Okay, go ahead, Manny.
So I'm Philly all the way. Phillies, Eagles, Flyers, the whole 9. I'm diehard, bleeding through my skin. So
yeah, and then I'm the complete opposite. I'm the New York guy, so I'm the Giants, the Yankees, the Knicks, and the Rangers. And I don't know if you can see back here. I got my whole Rangers slate back there.
He's such a bitch.
I saw you with this really nice Ranger jersey on.
Yeah,
too.
that was the Winter Classic sweater. It's a shame it's Matt Zuccarello and he's not on the team anymore. But at the time, he was just my favorite guy. And they had played the Sabres at Citi Field in Winter Classic, and I was like, I have to get this jersey. So I want to ask you. One of the last things we'll ask you here is, what were your thoughts on the Leafs last season in the playoffs? As you were able to watch them, and there was not too much of a good playoff showing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Why are we ending it on this clip?
I tried to beat around the bush because I saw your face, and I was like, I don't want to kill him from saying 3-1. But
yeah, man. I mean, being in Canada, half my friends are Habs fans.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah. Like,
are you
Habs
on like
fans,
the side of Canada where you're like most, or you're in between where it's like, Toronto Maple Leafs guys and then Habs fans, or is it like?
No, you know what? The city that I live in, Hamilton, Ontario, used to be the AHL team for the Montreal Canadiens. So there's a huge Habs following here in Hamilton. So I just have a ton of buddies that are Habs fans. So obviously, losing after being up 3-1 was absolutely devastating. Yeah, I don't even like talking about it, to be honest.
And that's why we have our bounce back.
Hey,
here.
there's give and take. You got the Kawhi shot on me, and I had to mute Kawhi Leonard on Twitter because I kept seeing that shot. So you got something on me.
Hey, we just want to thank you so much for being here. To talk to you is super cool to hear about this and what people can actually get out of this. If for the people listening at home that can take all of this information because they heard from you specifically everything that you did to get to where it is right now, and at the fast rate that gambling's going, I don't know why you wouldn't hop on board to continue your research. And I think it's more, people say let's do smart research to produce smart gambling picks and smart gambling. I would say this is your smart research, because you're not necessarily having, and this is the big, one of the big models that you have on the website is let's not have 10 tabs open. So I think that's something definitely to let you go on is let's not have 10 tabs open. Let's be smart. Let's make smart research, and that can ultimately result in smart gambling picks. So we just want to thank you so much. We hope that we can keep this relationship going with you, and that it's not going to be the last time that we speak to you.
Before we let you go, where can people find you on social media, and where can people go to get on Props.Cash?
Yeah, I mean, the site is Props.Cash, literally. So you can go to the site and it's easy to sign up for a free trial. Right now, the free trial, you can access one NBA game at a time. So you can see how the platform works. And I guess on Twitter at Props.Cash, Props.Cash. So give us a follow there if you're following us. And I also just want to say thanks to you guys for, allowing me to have this platform to speak about my story and Props.Cash. It's something I'm truly passionate about. And I can tell you guys are passionate about what you're doing. And so this is kind of a perfect mix. Your production, your growth, it's all very apparent. And you guys are going to do big things as well. So kudos to you. And I'm really excited to keep the relationship going as well. Hopefully we can do a follow-up a year from now when we have soccer and golf, and I can replug Props.Cash.
Let's go.
Yes, you can. We'll be in touch. We appreciate you so much, and we can't wait to talk to you again soon.
All right, AJ, Manny, take care, guys.
Thank you. Take care.
Dude, let's go. That's
amazing. That's amazing. I mean, guys, for you guys listening at home, when you're listening on Apple Podcasts, you can easily scroll down and hit that 5-star rating for us. This is just another cool guest to have on. We've been crushing the guest game. We just returned from Auburn in a banger. And like I said at the beginning of the video that's going to come out, the content is not
and the guest game ain't stopping either.
The guest game is not stopping either. The train of guests is just flowing. We got to buy like this big ass calendar so we can just write in every guest, because we're getting to the point where, and this is just what I've loved, because we went on a stretch for a little while where we didn't have guests, and it was mainly on us to, hey, let's dial it back. Let's figure out what we got to do differently. And now we're at the stage where it's like, we can say, all right, we have this person, let's write them in here. Okay, the next week, let's write them in here. Because we're getting into the point where it's like, we're mixing up people. And we're
for real.
Bro, we were down
mixing
in
up
Auburn.
dates, all that shit, bro.
Dude, we were in Auburn, and I was saying to you, I'm like, we had to message somebody and be like, we actually can't fit
do
you
it.
in right
Yeah.
now. Like I
Fucking
need time to tick so then I can put you in.
I'm
And
texting him like, wait, isn't this December 1st or the 30th? Like, it's crazy.
Right.
And it's all possible with you, with people watching at home and supporting us. And we love you so much for that.
Yep, and the one thing that I do want to mention before we get the hell out of here, we had a great call with. I'm not going to say too much on this. We had a great call. We have some new news coming. We can clip this out. We have new news coming in terms of how you can keep in touch with us outside of Twitter, outside of Instagram. So if you do want to follow us on Twitter and keep being in touch with us for now on those platforms, it's at ADED Podcast on Twitter and at ADED Pod on Instagram. Check out the TikTok as well, which is just the All Day Everyday Show. Cool little content going on there. I'm going to keep saying the same thing like I do every episode. It's different. You're not going to see it on Twitter. You're not going to see it on Instagram. So if you want to see some funny type content, head over to the TikTok and we'll go live. And we are going live soon. We have 2 weeks before, literally 2 weeks from now, we will be in Los Angeles, California. 2 weeks, 14 days. It's crazy to say. We are still recovering from this banger in Auburn, Alabama. But in literally 14 days, we will be touchdown with the GOAT, our editor, and one of our good buddies out in Los Angeles. So we cannot wait to do that. I mean, we're just loving it. So we cannot wait to keep this guest run up. Tell these guys about the YouTube, and then we'll get out of here.
Hey, so I remember when I started doing this, we went from 80% not subscribed down to 66. Now, we've been stalling at 66 of you who are watching this video not subscribed. Let's get that down to 50. If you're not subscribed, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, hit the notification bell, show us some love. The All Day Everyday Show boys signing off. Let's go.
Let's go, man. We appreciate you guys so much. We cannot wait to keep putting out some great content for you. You've been listening to the All Day Everyday Show with All Day AJ and the homie Manny Ruffin. I'm having a blast, man. My name is Alex Jacobs, but you can call me All Day AJ. I guess we'll see you with somebody else next week. You'll find out.
Woo.